Africa, the organization behind this drive to map out the slum and improve the lives of those who live here. Every point of interest is carefully entered into the system.
The story of La Rinconada is inextricably linked to the glittering veins of gold that course through the surrounding mountains.
Somewhere on this planet, a family is eating dinner inside a mountain wall. A child is navigating polluted water just to reach class, and a scientist is beginning another day in a world locked at 60 degrees below zero. We assume a home is simple, 4 walls, a roof, the basics of comfort. But what you're about to witness fractures that belief. These places aren't relics or myths. They're living, breathing communities. From slums floating on oceans of trash, to entire cities hidden inside a single frozen building, to villages carved by hand into volcanic cliffs, this journey exposes how far humans will go and how little we truly need to survive. So the real question is, what would you call home if everything familiar disappeared? Makoko, Africa's forgotten Venice. Everyone knows Venice, gondolas, romance, postcards. But there's another city built on water that the world pretends doesn't exist. Makoko sits on the coast of Lagos, Nigeria,
at the Lagos Coastal Highway area of Lagos State, as officers of the Rapid Response Corps cleared all the shanties in the area. Senior correspondent Ivy Kano reports.
And over 200,000 people wake up here every morning to a view of polluted lagoon water lapping against the stilts holding up their wooden shacks. There's no sewage system, no clean drinking water, no hospitals within reach. The air hangs thick with humidity and diesel fumes, and when the rainy season hits, entire neighborhoods can disappear overnight. Children here learn to paddle canoes before they learn to walk. Mothers cook over open flames on platforms that sway with every passing motorboat. The fishing that once sustained this community is dying as pollution chokes the lagoon. Yet families stay generation after generation because this water, this chaos, this impossible floating maze is the only home they've ever known. And somehow, despite everything, there's music echoing across the water at night. There's laughter. There's community in a place the rest of the world has written off as unsavable. Makoko isn't just surviving. It's proving that home isn't about what surrounds you, it's about who surrounds you. La Rinconada, chasing gold at the top of the world. Imagine a place so high that simply breathing feels like running a marathon, where the oxygen is so thin your body never fully adjusts, where garbage piles up in frozen mountains because no sanitation system can function at this altitude.
They are called super emitters of methane and deadly toxins on land, water and air. Garbage dumps like this not only threaten the lives of millions of people.
Welcome to La Rinconada, Peru, the highest permanent human settlement on Earth. Over 16,000 feet above sea level, buried in the Andes, more than 30,000 people have built a city on the promise of gold. They dig through frozen tunnels, breathe mercury-laced air, and work in conditions that would shut down any mine in the developed world. Most will never strike it rich. Many will get sick. Some won't make it out alive. There's no plumbing. The streets are unpaved rivers of mud and ice. The cold doesn't just bite, it gnaws through every layer you own. But every morning, people wake up here and descend into the mountain, gambling their health and their years on the chance that today might be the day everything changes. La Rinconada is what happens when hope becomes geography, when the dream of a better life takes physical form in the most punishing place imaginable. It's not logical, it's not safe, but for those who stay, it's everything beneath Manila's highways.
Miguel has said it would fully open all of the 7 lanes of the 18-kilometer highway.
The next time you drive over a highway overpass, think about what's underneath. Concrete, steel, shadows. Now imagine raising a family there. In Manila, thousands of people have built homes in the darkness beneath the city's busiest roads. Scrap metal walls lean against concrete pillars. Plywood roofs sit inches below the thundering traffic overhead. The ground shakes constantly. Engine fumes fill every breath. When it rains, everything floods. When accidents happen above, debris falls below. There's no running water, no electricity except from wires strung dangerously close to standing puddles. Children play in spaces no wider than a car. Mothers sing lullabies louder than the 18-wheelers passing overhead. Fathers patch roofs before every storm, knowing the next one might wash everything away. These aren't just stories of poverty. They're stories of people who built something out of nothing in the only space a crowded city would give them. While the world speeds past overhead, entire communities persist in the shadows, invisible, unheard, but fiercely alive. Yanjin, the skinniest city on Earth. Cities are supposed to sprawl, wide boulevards, expanding suburbs, room to breathe. But what happens when geography says no? Yanjin. China is squeezed between mountains and the Nanxi River in a strip so narrow that at its thinnest point, the entire city is barely 30 feet wide. Just enough room for a street, a sidewalk, and a line of buildings stacked like dominoes. 400,000 people live in this ribbon of civilization, stretched across 37 miles of riverbank, with nowhere to grow but up. Balconies hang over the water. Alleys are barely wide enough for two people to pass. There are no shopping malls, no sprawling parks, no room for the kind of excess most cities take for granted. Instead, everything is efficient, compact, alive with the constant movement of bicycles and delivery carts threading through spaces that feel more like hallways than streets. Yanjin proves something remarkable. Even when nature gives you almost nothing, life finds a way to expand. The city didn't fight the mountains, it adapted to them. And in doing so, it created something strangely beautiful, a place where limitation became identity. China's nail houses, when home refuses to move.
The nail house, because locals claim the owner is as stubborn as a nail that's stuck in a piece of wood.
Progress moves fast in China. New highways slice through neighborhoods. Skyscrapers rise where families lived for generations. When developers offer compensation to relocate, most people take it and move on. But some refuse. They're called nail houses, stubborn homes that stick up like nails that won't be hammered down. And when the owners won't budge, construction doesn't stop. It bends around them. The result is surreal. Tiny apartment buildings surrounded by on-ramps. Family homes marooned in the middle of 6-lane highways. Picture waking up every morning to traffic swirling past your front door, exhaust fumes seeping through windows you can no longer open, the constant roar of a city that built itself around you because you wouldn't leave. For some, it's about money. For others, it's about something that can't be bought: history, memory, the principle that a home belongs to the people who live in it. These nail houses stand as defiant monuments in a landscape of steel and concrete, asking a question the modern world doesn't like to answer. What happens when progress meets someone who simply says no? Station H6. Surviving on drifting ice. Antarctica has no permanent residents, no cities, no civilization, just endless white, temperatures that freeze exposed skin in minutes, and months of darkness that can break the human mind. And yet, a small team of scientists lives on a floating sheet of ice that's slowly moving across the continent. Station H6 is a research base built on an unstable ice shelf. 8 massive modules mounted on skis, so the entire structure can be relocated when the frozen ground beneath it decides to crack apart and drift away. For over 100 days each year, the sun never rises. Temperatures plunge below -60 degrees. Breathing becomes a battle. Machines fail. Isolation weighs heavier than the cold, but the data collected here matters. It's helping us understand a changing climate before it's too late. Living at Station H6 isn't about comfort. It's about purpose. Every sunrise that finally comes after months of darkness is earned. Every day survived is a victory. This is what it looks like when curiosity outweighs survival instinct, when the need to understand our world is stronger than the desire to stay safe inside it. Fort Erie, where winter declares war. Some places are cold. Fort Erie, Canada is something else entirely. Winds tear through the streets at 60 miles per hour, hurling snow like shrapnel. Waves from nearby Lake Erie rise over 20 feet, crashing onto shores that disappear under walls of ice. For days at a time, you can't see past your own window. The world outside simply vanishes behind white. Residents here don't just deal with winter, they do battle with it, shoveling snow until their arms give out, digging out doors, cars, entire homes, only to wake up and do it again when the next storm hits. Roads vanish, power fails. Your eyelashes freeze before you reach your car. Winter here isn't a season, it's a siege, but beneath all that ice is something warmer than anything the weather can touch. Neighbors who check on each other without being asked. Meals shared around tables while the wind howls outside. Community that doesn't crack under pressure, it hardens. Fort Erie proves that sometimes the coldest places reveal the warmest hearts. Santa Cruz del Islote, the world's most crowded island. Imagine an island so small you could walk across it in 2 minutes. Now imagine sharing it with 1,200 other people. Santa Cruz del Islote, off the coast of Colombia, is roughly the size of a soccer field. It's the most densely populated island on Earth. No cars, no airport, no running water. Just a maze of tightly packed homes, footpaths barely wide enough to turn around in, and a rhythm of life so interconnected that privacy is essentially a foreign concept. Electricity runs a few hours a day. Fresh water arrives by Navy boat. Toilets are shared by dozens. Families sleep shoulder to shoulder, children kicking soccer balls in alleys where you can't stretch your arms without touching both walls. And yet, there's no crime here, no police needed. Every door stays unlocked. Every child belongs to everyone. Generations ago, fishermen stopped on this speck of land and noticed there were no mosquitoes, no predators, nothing to chase them away, so they stayed. Then others came. And now this overcrowded, under-resourced island is more community than most cities will ever be. In a world that often feels too big and too disconnected, Santa Cruz whispers something we've forgotten. Closeness isn't a burden, it's everything. Whittier, Alaska, an entire town under one roof. What if your neighbors, your grocery store, your school, and your police station all shared the same address? What if you never had to step outside for weeks at a time? In Whittier, Alaska, nearly all 270 residents live inside a single building. Begich Towers is a 14-story structure containing apartments, a school, a post office, a church, laundry facilities, and a small grocery store. Everything you need to survive all under one roof. The reason is simple. Outside is trying to kill you. Whittier receives over 250 inches of snow annually. Winds scream across the frozen bay. The only road in is a one-way tunnel through a mountain, shared with trains and open just 12 hours a day. When winter locks in, stepping outside becomes a serious decision. So the people of Whittier adapted by pulling closer together. Kids ride elevators to school. Neighbors pass in hallways instead of sidewalks. In a world that keeps pushing us apart, Whittier is the opposite, a place where community isn't something you seek out. It's literally the walls around you. The Himba, 2,000 years in the desert. In the scorched heart of northern Namibia, where rivers dry up and the earth cracks from heat, lives a people who've survived not by fighting nature, but by becoming part of it. The Himba have called this desert home for over 2,000 years. No electricity, no plumbing. Their homes are shaped from mud, wood, and cow dung materials that seem primitive until you realize they've outlasted countless civilizations. The women cover their skin in ojais, a paste of crushed ochre and animal fat that glows red under the sun, protecting against heat and insects while carrying the spirit of their ancestors. Droughts are common here. Resources are scarce. Life requires constant effort just to survive. But the Himba don't see struggle, they see purpose. Decisions are made together. Elders are honored. Children are raised by the village. Stories pass under stars so bright they feel like ancient eyes watching over the land. In a world racing toward technology and speed, the Himba remind us that survival isn't always about innovation. Sometimes it's about wisdom passed down through 100 generations. Sometimes the deepest progress is learning to live simply, intentionally, and in harmony with a land that doesn't forgive mistakes. Sealand, the nation that refused to sink.
Sealand, a crumb of real estate off the English coast that declared its independence in 1967.
It looks like a rusted oil rig. 2 concrete pillars, a metal platform, waves battering its legs 7 miles off the coast of England. But this isn't an abandoned platform. It's the Principality of Sealand, the smallest country in the world, or at least, that's what its founders claim. Originally built as a British anti-aircraft fortress during World War II, this rusting structure was claimed in 1967 by a former Army major named Paddy Roy Bates, who declared independence, wrote a constitution, designed a flag, minted currency, and appointed himself prince. At its peak, Sealand survived a coup attempt, armed mercenaries, and international legal disputes. Population at any given time, a handful of people. Total area, less than 6,000 square feet. It's absurd. It's defiant. And somehow it's still standing. You can still apply for Sealand citizenship. You can become a lord or lady for a fee. But more than any title, Sealand represents something untamable. The audacity to look at a pile of concrete in the middle of nowhere and say, "This is mine, and no one can take it from me." Cliff Village, life on the edge. High above the valleys of southwest China, where cliffs slice the sky like stone knives, there's a village that seems to defy gravity itself. Cliff Village clings to the mountainside nearly 2,600 feet above the valley floor. Simple wooden homes perch on ledges barely wide enough for a footpath. For generations, the only way to reach the outside world was a 2-hour descent down rickety wooden ladders bolted directly into the rock face. One misstep and you're gone. Why would anyone choose to live here? For many, it wasn't a choice, it was an escape. Families came seeking isolation from poverty, from conflict, from a world below that offered them nothing. What they found was hard but peaceful, quiet, a place where children could grow up safe, even if that safety hung literally on the edge of oblivion. The government has since built safer stairways, but many residents still prefer the old ladders out of habit, out of pride, out of love for the only home they've ever known. Every sunrise here brings a view most of us will only see in dreams. Cliff Village isn't just a place, it's proof of how far humans will go to protect what they call home. Edinburgh, of the 7 seas, the most remote place on Earth. The nearest neighbor is over 1,500 miles away. There's no airport, no cell towers. If you miss the yearly supply boat, you wait another year. Edinburgh of the 7 seas sits on Tristan da Cunha, a volcanic island in the middle of the South Atlantic Ocean, literally halfway between everywhere and nowhere. About 250 people live here, descendants of shipwrecked sailors and hardy pioneers who decided centuries ago that this remote speck of land was worth building a life on. There's one school, one post office, no restaurants. Internet access is limited to what a satellite connection will allow. Medical emergencies mean satellite calls and long, anxious waits. Storms can cut the island off for weeks at a time. But the people here don't see isolation as punishment. They see it as peace. Everyone grows their own food. Neighbors know your birthday, your grandfather's story, your dog's name. The world moves slowly here, and no one seems to mind. In an age obsessed with speed and connection, Edinburgh of the 7 seas offers something different. Proof that sometimes distance brings us closer to what matters. Freedom Cove, a floating work of art. Off the misty coast of Vancouver Island, hidden in remote Canadian waters, floats something that looks like it sailed out of a dream. Freedom Cove doesn't appear on any map. To reach it, you boat through fog and forest until civilization fades away entirely. And then, suddenly, there it is, a floating village of 12 interconnected platforms, painted in teals and magentas, covered in greenhouses and gardens, rising and falling with the tides. 2 artists, Catherine King and Wayne Adams, spent 3 decades building this place with their own hands. There's no electricity from the grid.
A couple off the coast of Tofino living in a float home to a float village.
No internet, no refrigerator. Water comes from a nearby waterfall. Food grows in floating gardens. They fish, they paint, they dance under stars that have never competed with city lights. Freedom Cove isn't about escape, it's about intention. In a world that chases more speed, more noise, more screens, these two chose less. Less pressure, less noise, more meaning. Their floating home is a message in a bottle, drifting out to anyone who needs to hear it. You don't have to live the way you're told. You can build something entirely your own. Kandovan, homes carved by fire and time. In the mountains of northwestern Iran, where wind has carved canyons through volcanic rock for millennia, there's a village that wasn't built at all. It was sculpted. Kandovan's homes are hollowed out of ancient volcanic ash, hardened over 100,000 years by lava and time. From a distance, it looks like a surrealist painting, conical rock towers rising from the earth like stone beehives. Look closer, and you'll see doors, windows, chimneys. People still live inside these spires, some families occupying caves that go several stories deep, connected by tunnels carved centuries ago. The rock provides natural insulation, cool in scorching summers, warm in harsh winters. No heating bills, no air conditioning. Nature perfected through geological time, simply waiting for someone to move in. While the rest of the world raced toward glass towers and concrete grids, Kandovan stands unchanged, a living memory of what it means to dwell with the earth rather than over it. Children play where lava once flowed. Elders tell stories passed down for 1,000 years. And every sunset over these ancient spires reminds us that sometimes the deepest homes are carved into the soul of the land itself. Cappadocia, underground cities of stone and sky. In central Turkey, the landscape ripples like frozen waves and stone towers rise like something from a dream. But the real wonder lies below. For centuries, when invaders swept across the region, Entire villages vanished underground into tunnels carved from soft volcanic rock. Derinkuyu, the largest, could hide 20,000 people with kitchens, wells, churches, wine cellars, even stables all buried beneath the earth for months at a time. Above ground, cone-shaped towers have been hollowed into homes, chapels, and cave hotels, where the stone keeps a perfect temperature through scorching summers and brutal winters. And when the sun sets and hot air balloons drift across Cappadocia's painted sky, it's easy to forget that beneath your feet lies another world, one shaped by fear, protected by darkness, and preserved by the quiet endurance of those who survived by disappearing. Greenland, surviving with the Inuit. Winter here isn't a season, it's a test of everything you are. For over 4,000 years, the Inuit have called Greenland home, a place where temperatures plunge below -30. Darkness lasts for months, and the wind howls across frozen tundra like something alive. This is one of the harshest environments on Earth.
Greenland, the largest island on Earth, lies between the Arctic and the Atlantic Ocean. Temperatures here have risen significantly in recent years.
And yet life doesn't just survive here, it thrives. The Inuit don't fight the cold, they work with it. They read the snow the way others read maps. They follow stars their ancestors followed. They know when the ice will shift, when the seals will surface, when the whales will pass. Hunting isn't sport, it's survival. Every part of the animal is used, nothing is wasted. Clothing is crafted from furs, stitched to insulate against winds that would freeze exposed skin in seconds. This is more than survival. It's a culture of quiet strength songs sung under stars, elders teaching wisdom through stories instead of screens. In a world chasing comfort and speed, the Inuit offer something different, proof that true resilience doesn't roar. It adapts, it listens, it endures, one snow-covered step at a time. Slab City, the last free place in America. Beyond the grid and past the last paved road, out where the cell signal dies, lies a place that barely exists on any map. No laws, no taxes, no landlords, just a community built on radical freedom. Slab City stands on the remains of an abandoned marine base in the California desert. Trailers, tents, and makeshift shacks scattered across cracked concrete slabs. There's no water system, no electricity, only heat, dust, and people determined to live life on their own terms. Artists, drifters, veterans, outcasts, some ran from society, others were pushed out of it. At its heart rises Salvation Mountain, a hand-painted monument to faith and obsession, surrounded by a desert library, a junkyard art garden, and a stage that plays to the open sky. Life here is harsh, 120-degree summers, poverty, addiction, real danger, but also something rare, a place where no one tells you who to be. In a world built on rules and expectations, Slab City survives as a jagged reminder that the edges are where some people finally learn to breathe. We've witnessed the edges of human endurance, places that shouldn't be livable, yet somehow are, but this is only a glimpse of a far larger, stranger world. Beyond these cliffs, tunnels, and floating slums lie even harsher frontiers, places where survival is a negotiation made daily and comfort is an idea, not a guarantee. And as we continue to map these forgotten corners of the planet, one truth becomes harder to ignore. The most extraordinary stories are the ones still buried in the places we haven't reached. So the real question is, what waits for us in the shadows we haven't explored yet?